Editorials for 24th October 2016. The first editorial in the Hindu newspaper, Making Cities Inclusive. So this is regarding the Habitat 3 conference which was held recently in Quito in Ecuador, which is in South America. This was the UN conference on housing and sustainable urban development. So the issues which were raised here are of significance worldwide as well as in India. And this Habitat 3 is the third in the series. It's called Once in a Generation event. So it has laid down the plan for the next 20 years now. So the issues which urbanization brings with it are access to housing, sanitation, urban inequality being high, the wide gap between the paid to highly paid professionals and the low wage workers, sanitation for these low wage workers, the slum issue basically, mobility means transportation issue, and traffic and pollution which it brings along with it, making cities more friendly to children, women, safety of them, the elderly and disabled. So those are the aspects which were highlighted here. Even urban housing is part of the sustainable development goals, goal number 11 to be specific. Even under Paris Agreement, to have urbanization, we should have it linked to low carbon emissions too. So that is an essential target for all the countries. And even in India, we face troubles because of urbanization, and we have launched two schemes. The two major schemes recently launched are Smart Cities Mission and Amrut, Atal Mission for Rejuvenation and Urban Transformation. And we are also having the National Urban Transport Policy, specifically targeting urban transport. So even slums is a major issue. So how this slum problem, redevelopment of slums takes place, public-private partnership is brought in, disaster resistance, prefabricated constructions are also being tried and tested. So we are also working towards liberating our cities, bringing in more parks, green areas, and making it non-polluting. So these are the aspects highlighted. As you see the sustainable development goals to here, sustainable cities and communities. This is goal 11 of SDGs of UN, which is to be achieved by 2030, 15 to 30 in the 15-year time frame. About the two schemes which India has launched, Smart Cities Mission is an urban renewal and retrofitting program launched in 2015. It is selecting 100 cities. The idea was that, but now it has been revised to 109 because of various reasons, that there are more cities being included. It's politically sensitive, nobody can be left out. So the number has gone a little high, it's 109 presently. So these cities which have been selected are selected through a competition. It is Smart Cities Challenge through. So they put in their plans about how do they plan to bring in smart cities, and based on approval of these plans, whoever wins is selected and given funding by the central government. So that's the idea. And the smart cities generally are satellite towns which have been selected so that they can be modernized and brought on par with the major cities to which they surround. So these are suburban cities, satellite cities. So that is the Smart City Mission. And what is Amrut then? Amrut was also launched in 2015, and this is part of Housing for All, which is a target of the government by 2022. So both were launched together. Now this ensures that proper infrastructure is in place, sewage and water supply for urban transformation is in place. So it is targeting urban renewal for basically for slums and such areas. So how public-private partnership can be brought in to ensure adequate housing to all. So that's the idea. Facilities to these. So this is about the smart city. It's a 48,000 crore budget which has been allocated to this project through the city challenge. So in the first stage only 20 cities were selected, and over the years then each one is allotted rupees 100 crores for 5 years. So that is a special purpose vehicle being set up. 50,000 crores have been allotted for Atal Mission also. So 500 cities will be selected under Atal Mission, which will be funded in installments to ensure sanitation and housing. So that is it. So this is again Amrut, 100 smart cities both and 500 under Amrut. So central allocation is also high for both. It's a 5-year time frame under which both will be implemented. Amrut covers smart cities is through city challenge, and Amrut covers all cities with a population more than 1 lakh. So national priority to create infrastructure means housing and amenities being provided. So improve the quality of life in urban areas for basically poor and disadvantaged means slums. So that is the target of Amrut. So you can see here some cities which have been chosen. Next article is on Kingdom of Bonds. So this is regarding the sovereign bonds which were sold off by Saudi Arabia recently. It's $17.5 billion sovereign bonds. So it is a record for an emerging market. So this is the trouble which Saudi Arabia is presently facing because of its dependence on oil. The entire economy is based on oil, and oil prices have gone drastically low. And the reason for this also is Saudi Arabia, because it brought in so much of oil into the market that because of oversupply, prices went down. The oversupply was also to dent a hole in the US economy, because USA was shifting towards shale gas. So shale gas is a new technology. Of course, it will be costly. So if shale gas is costly and oil is also going high, so oil prices were also at a peak. So if oil becomes cheaper, then shale gas will not be able to prosper and it will nip the competition in the bud. So that was the idea of Saudi Arabia, but it has proved counterproductive because oil prices went low because of its own policy of allowing so much of oil to be produced and sold in the market, bringing oil prices low. And shale gas has not gone down, rather shale gas has been able to sustain itself, and US dependence on oil has further reduced, and it is again an attack on Saudi Arabia only that it is suffering because oil prices went further down, because dependence there also reduced. So Saudi Arabia now is facing trouble because it is an oil dependent economy. So now it has talking with OPEC too that oil production should be reduced, but other countries of course are not ready, especially Iran is not ready to cut down production now because it will affect its economy too. So that's why again Saudi is allowing Iran also to have its production done and asking other countries and itself to restrain and stop production to let the oil prices go high again and they can recover. It's asking even Russia, which is a non-OPEC member, for support too on this matter. So that is the whole thing. So we have also seen Saudi Arabia cutting wages of its own employees, unemployment rate being high, also the Nitakat system under which even Indian workers have been affected who are leaving Saudi Arabia now because of their policies of giving employment to Saudis first. So the economy is suffering. Oil prices presently have regained and now it is also taking efforts to ensure that its economy can be sustained. It has pegged the rial, the currency of Saudi Arabia, to dollars and is committed to ensure the economy sustains. So it is also another aspect, it is involved in wars in Syria and Yemen, and of course wars are not cheap. So this is also a drain on the economy of Saudi Arabia, and countries moving towards cleaner energy, reducing their dependence on oil. Again Saudi Arabia suffers. So let's see what happens. There are a few graphs here. You can see the crude oil prices, how they have dipped from more than $100 per barrel to now a little above $30, 36 around. Then this is about the crude oil prices in 2016 itself too. You can see September 2016 to now it is recovering from this 36 around 38 around. It's going higher. It's reached up to $50 too a barrel, so that's good for the economy of Saudi Arabia. These are the members of OPEC. You can see Ecuador, Venezuela here. So these are the oil producing countries: Angola, Nigeria, Algeria, Libya, African countries, Iraq, Iran and Saudi Arabia. Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. Next we look at the question bank. That is based on the lead article and articles on the perspective page in the Hindu. The lead article today is actually based on the deal which has come through between Ae Dil Hai Mushkil between film industry and MNS, which was threatening that it would not allow the screening of the movie of Karan Johar. So now the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Devendra Fadnavis, has brought the two sides together and a deal has come through which is asking even the film industry to pay tribute to the army personnel. And they have said they will not work with Pakistani actors anymore in future, and they have agreed to pay some amount which MNS leader Raj Thackeray claims is 5 crores to the army fund. Army Welfare Fund. So all these things are being criticized. It is said that the Chief Minister being part of this deal is highly critical. Rather than supporting the film fraternity and ensuring law and order prevails and a film is allowed a safe release without any violence, it has promoted MNS and brought it together, brokering a deal rather than playing its role of ensuring law and order. So that is the criticism here. Anyway, that was the lead article. The second article is on comments which are posted for articles in the Hindu and any newspaper. It says that comments should also be scrutinized. So that is again an article related to media, not important for us. Another article is on terrorism being put forth prominently by India at all multilateral forums, which is criticized that we cannot just talk of only one issue the way Pakistan used to talk of only on Kashmir. So India should diversify itself and talk on various stands rather than just talk on terrorism. Again, that article is not important for us. Nothing new or different in that. The only article which we have picked up again is a little questionable. This is by Mr. Jairam Ramesh, the former Congress minister, and he has been critical of the Gujarat State Petroleum Corporation. Recently, the news has come that GSPC will have 50% stake sold off to ONGC. So ONGC is a central PSU, public sector undertaking, and GSPC is a state PSU. So GSPC is known to have suffered losses. The CAG has also been critical of it, Comptroller and Auditor General of India, and Jairam Ramesh has also been critical of it for long. It has shown that the KG basin, Krishna Godavari basin, which is in Andhra Pradesh, the coast here you can see. This is Krishna River, Godavari River. So this KG basin stake, how much of natural gas is present here, had been estimated to be very high by Chief Minister of Gujarat then, Mr. Narendra Modi, and those claims have gradually come down. So they are presently claiming that it was this much trillion cubic feet of gas which was known to be there, and these estimations have gradually come down over the years. Since 2005 it was launched, and the loans which have been given to GSPC over those time frames have drastically increased. So as estimates have come down, loans have gone high, and all these are outstanding loans. It is not able to pay the loan amount and the interest rates. So this is the issue. It is going to become an NPA. So rather than that suffering, now a merger is being talked of with ONGC. So whatever estimates are there which can be recovered should be recoverable. Even CAG criticized it. It says that when it cannot work even in KG basin, it has not been able to produce gas till date. It's still working. Why has it acquired blocks in Egypt, in Yemen, in Indonesia, in Australia, and has written off, given those blocks to surrender those blocks without any profits, any benefits. So all this is criticized, which is a huge burden on it, and it's suffering into heavy losses. So this is the question. So there were other deals also which have been questioned. So the valuation of KSG basin, again, that how valuation was done and how that has gradually come down. So this is about the deal also, that it says that 50% stake will be taken in, and at today's price, the price would be $50 billion of the amount of gas which they claim is recoverable. But then they have not done any recovery yet. So even ONGC, if it takes up, will have to invest on the whole thing. With those investment money will come from there. And when it is taking 50% stake, means it is taking 50% of the loan stake also. So how will that be repaid? So that burden also comes on ONGC. So this whole deal is questionable. And how can you do that? It says 85% of ONG stake is with government, central government agreed, but there are other stakeholders also. So how can those stakeholders be asked to pay for the losses which this GSPC has committed? So that all is question. So this is regarding GSPC only. Again, there are other deals also which we have seen presently, like SR Oil deal with Russia. So now SR Oil has also suffered losses, but then Russian government has acquired it to get us entry into India. So that is why it has acquired SR Oil, which is again suffering losses. So there Russia has its own strategic interests to get an entry into India. There is another deal of Adani Group also, which is again questioned. That is the Dhamra Port deal. So there are still such deals which are questionable, but they go ahead.